Hey, what's going on, NGT community? It's GUNNS4HIRE from NextGenTactics, and welcome back to part 2 of the Crysis 2 demo review. This time we're going to be taking a look at Crash Site, which is a headquarters type game. Let's take a look. Okay, well, as mentioned, Crash Site is basically a headquarters type game in Crysis 2. And basically what happens is an alien ship drops these pods off in random spots around the map. I'm sure they'll be trackable. Anyway, and they are. I mean, I've seen them drop in the same spot more than once in a few games. So obviously they're kind of like spawn points. So once you get to know them, you're going to be able to sort of familiarize yourself with them and get better at anticipating where they're going to be. So anyway, what happens is alien ship drops off a pod, and it's your team's objective to try and secure that pod. So the longer your team secures that pod, the more points that you score. So it's kind of like a headquarters type area there, domination, except there's no multiple flags. It's just one pod, and you gotta get there as fast as possible. Now, there's a danger in this, obviously, just like anything else, except, the nice thing about this is there's no noob tubes, there's no grenade launchers. There's your weapons, and yeah, people will throw the frags in, and I do the same thing every single time as well, because quite frankly, it's just smart gameplay to do that. But there is you'll notice that there's no noob tubes, and maybe they're released later on with all the other unlockable sort of components of this game. But, I never experienced any, so it's kind of refreshing. I kind of like that change there. Now, this game, as I said, headquarters, very, very familiar, very fast-paced, usually to the detriment of your kill-death ratio, at least for those that actually have the balls. Now, in this game here, if I show it right to the very end, I actually end up in first place overall in this game, and that's because I'm always going for the pod. But in doing so, you're going to die a lot. And so the problem is we're getting a lot of typical, atypical people really, really concerned about their kill-death ratio and not so much of the actual strategy or objective base. So it's basically telling me there's probably a whole heck of a lot of COD players right now playing the demo. Because that's usually what happens. A lot of, at least in my experience, Call of Duty type game players of the community, they tend to camp and not really focus on objectives. They trying to get kill streaks and trying to get all the other stuff rather than actually trying to win the actual game. But in Battlefield Bad Company, those type of game players are almost reverse. I mean, they're almost focused solely on getting the objectives done at the detriment of their kill-death ratio, which is good. But I mean, they both come hand in hand. You learn to become good at it. So, I mean, it would probably change, and this is going to happen in demos anyway. I mean, you've got a whole bunch of people not really certain as to the game style, not really certain as to how they should be playing these games. Do they play it like a Battlefield Bad Company? Do they play it like a Call of Duty style? And I think everyone's sort of getting their feet wet and sort of experimenting. But at least from my experience of the several games that I played of Crash Site, there's like hardly anyone sort of objective oriented, which is always a bit annoying. So, but anyway, you get a lot of points. I ended up first overall on the scoreboard because I actually focus on the objective here. But it is actually fun. This is a little bit better. Rather than simply running around with deathmatch, you've got a goal. You've got a goal, and it kind of, for the most part, if some of your teammates get their, crap together, it feels a little bit more cohesive. It feels a little more like you actually are on a team, even if it's just one other person, because you're both there at a common site and trying to accomplish a common goal. So I really like that. I love these types of objective-based games. I'm not a huge fan of headquarters in Call of Duty, only because of the noob tube aspect and the kill streak scoring that usually takes place. So I tend to sort of stay away from those games. However, I think when the dust settles with this game, after, the game is released and all of the real dedicated diehard fans of the game, because believe me, there's going to be. I mean, this is a very unique type of multiplayer, and I'm actually very fascinated. I'm curious to see what the gaming community is going to take. Like, I mean, I'm not talking about little groups of it, like people that are diehard Killzone fans or diehard Gears fans. I'm talking about, the masses, the general masses, and more, for lack of better description, the Call of Duty masses, to see if they actually will enjoy this game, if they're going to be drawn to it, if this is going to be, a game that people are really going to like, or they're going to say, I don't like the movement on it, I don't like the the sluggishness, etc., and sort of stay away from it. Because one of two things is going to happen. I think that, for the most part, at least my sort of perception, I think that predominantly it's going to be the Battlefield Bad Company and the Medal of Honor, Killzone type players that are really going to be drawn to this game, and therefore you're going to see a lot more objective-oriented gamers on this, you know, a few months after the release. I think all the other run-in gunners that, you know, expect a Call of Duty type experience, once they're sort of weaned off this game, because I don't think that a lot of them are going to stay on here, to be quite honest with you. I could definitely get into this game though. I could absolutely get into this. I'm very, very curious and excited to see what other game types, game modes, and other maps that they're going to be offering. I'd like to see a larger map though, I really would. Just because of the style, like I said before in part 1, because of the type of game engine that we're dealing with here, that, you know, non-Call of Duty super zip, lightning, fast run and gun style, I think would support at least medium, large size maps. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about huge maps, but definitely would support more tactical gameplay on larger maps. I think I'd really like it, and I guarantee you, if you're a Battlefield Bad Company 2 player, larger maps and medium maps, I think you could definitely get into something like this. And I really wouldn't worry about it too much if you're one of those, you know, I don't want to, you know, I'm not a Call of Duty player, blah, blah, blah. This is definitely not something that's going to appeal to everybody, but you are going to get your diehard fans. Now, there's one thing I want to talk about before this game is done, as I continue to get slaughtered at the objectives, because you got the people camping away, just simply going, oh yeah, they're going to go for it and I'm just going to kill them. And that always happens. You just, you know, it's part of gaming, right? You've always got those individuals trying to get those kill streaks happening. So the energy, you notice on the bottom right hand side, you'll see an energy bar there. Now that energy is actually, it's to do with your suit. It's your, you know, biomechanical suit that you have that gives you sort of superpowers, gives you that halo jumping. There are several aspects of this that drain that energy, and the energy is replenished much like it is in Halo. You know, I was gonna say Halo 3, but Halo. We'll just say Halo. Much like it is in Halo. So you have this more or less infinite supply of energy, but it gets drained and it needs to replenish. So you have to give it a few moments. Now the cloaking suit, which is kind of that predator-looking thing, makes you turn sort of invisible for the most part, uses up the energy. Same thing with the increased armor, which, by the way, I personally find to be the most valuable. Now, again, like I said in part 1, these are early games. So these are games that I recorded early on. I continued playing, and obviously, you know, I wanted to get better. I wanted to really not sort of say, oh, this game is bad, I did bad in the beginning, because, you know, there's always an adjustment period, but I did get used to it very, very quickly, and I was finding myself already starting to create techniques, learning when to activate that shield, because remember, when you sprint, you use up energy. When you jump, energy. You see when I'm running there, it's using up that energy bar. If you activate like a cloak or the increased shields in sprint, you drain that energy bar incredibly fast. So it's all about learning how to conserve that. There's a technique in it, and I love the fact of that. I mean, this game has great potential. It's gonna be probably a select few that really get into it and are the diehard fans, but for those of them that do stay in it, I think they're gonna actually enjoy this game a lot more. I think this game is able to offer the gaming community sort of like trickles, a little bit of the best of all the worlds that we know, like the main ones, like the Halo, the Call of Duty, and sort of the Battlefield Bad Company or Medal of Honor type gamers. And I really do think that it offers a bit of all those worlds. And so it's not like one of those groups is necessarily going to absolutely love it. I think it's going to be an adjustment period. I think it's going to be, you know, a select number from each of those groups that really get into this and say, you know what, I actually really like it. I like, you know, I'm a huge Halo fan. I love that the jumping, the you know, low gravity jumping's in there. I like the cloaking and the shields and everything like that. I'm comfortable and I'm familiar with that. But I also like the sort of the faster gameplay movements, because in comparison to something like Halo 3, this is a hell of a lot faster, but it still has a little bit of those. And then for Call of Duty, it's got that modern warfare type feel, that close-knit sort of run and gun feel, but you got to make the adjustment again to the Battlefield Bad Company. But again, having the Halo features kind of you know, helps the transition, unless you hate both and then you're screwed and tattooed and you're gonna absolutely hate this game. Personally, I definitely would like to put some more effort into getting good at this game. But again, it's, you know, what we do here and what we show and what we game is really dictated to most of our community. I mean, if the NextGenTactics community wants us to produce these things, if you guys are interested in it, guys and gals, I know I always say that. I know when I say guys, I mean both, but, you know, whatever. I always feel like I need to correct myself. They're like, well, what about me, Guns? You know, not that you talk like that. That's probably a bad thing. Anyway, you know what I mean. So I would like to see it. I would like to see the NGT community embrace something new. At least try it. Give it a shot. You're not, you know what, all of you, I guarantee you, at some point you're going to be like, oh, I don't really like it. At least go up in the ranks, get some of the classes, get a little bit good at it, experiment with the cloaking, the energy. Try and get into this game a little bit more, because you know what, I think we could have a lot of fun with this. I think it can bring a lot of enjoyment, and that level of tactics that you know, NextGenTactics always stands for. I mean, that's why we have tactics in the name. And this is the type of game that definitely I think we could definitely assist people in. So give it a shot, try it out, and as you can see here, look at that. Look, I was even the star player. Horrible kill-death ratio, but that's what you get. When you capture in this, you gonna die. So you can see there I had the highest score. Anyway, it is a lot of fun. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but give it a shot. Halo, Battlefield, and Call of Duty rolled up in one. It's not highly polished yet. Takes a bit of getting used to, but I guarantee you're going to like it if you give it a try. Get the latest updates and stay in touch with the NGT community with our all-new Facebook application. Check the description of the video for details.